Good evening and Merry Christmas, everyone. Big Al here on this Christmas Eve. It's Wednesday, December 24th, 2025. And I usually come with my weekly NFL picks on Thursdays, but since we have games on tomorrow, we're doing it right now. So welcome into my Week 17 NFL picks, both straight up and against the spread, as well as over-under picks for all 16 games. We'll also take a look at the Christmas Day triple header injury reports for the Cowboys at the Commanders, the Lions at the Vikings, and the Broncos at the Chiefs. And then we'll wrap it up with a look at playoff clinching and elimination scenarios for Week 17. And there's a lot to talk about there. All right, so like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And before we get into our picks, we got to take account for week number 16. As last week, I finished 11-5 straight up, 8-8 against the spread. And on over-unders, I went 9-7. Through 16 weeks, my straight-up record is 152, 87-1, which is a 635 winning percentage. My ATS record is 112, 124-4. That's a 475 winning percentage. And on over-under totals, I'm 123, 113-4, which is a 521 winning percentage. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's jump into the picks for Week 17. Starting off with the Christmas Day triple header, which all begins with the 6-8-1 Dallas Cowboys visiting the 4-11 Washington Commanders. This game is Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Netflix, and the game will be locally broadcast on the CBS stations in both Dallas, Fort Worth, and Washington, D.C. Your announcers will be Ian Eagle, Nate Burleson, Matt Ryan, Sarah Walsh, and Melanie Collins. All right, the Cowboys come in number 22 in my Week 17 power rankings. Meanwhile, the Commanders are at number 26. Current point spread is Dallas -10, over-under is 50.5. Cowboys will win this one rather easily, 38-13, because the Commanders' defense is trash and they're already on their third-string quarterback. The game will go just over 50.5, and I'm taking Dallas -10. In Game 2 on Christmas Day, it's the 8-7 Detroit Lions fighting for their playoff lives as they visit U.S. Bank Stadium to face the 7-8 Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on Netflix. And the announcers for this game will be Noah Eagle, Drew Brees, AJ Ross, and Diana Rossini. All right. The Lions suffered a heartbreaking loss to the Steelers last week, and they dropped to number 16 in my Week 17 power rankings. Meanwhile, the Vikings, who beat the Giants in a defensive battle, moved up to number 21. Current point spread is Detroit -7.5, over-under is 43. I have the Lions winning 31-17, and this is based on the hand injury suffered by J.J. McCarthy. Minnesota has a backup quarterback going for them. I have the game going over 43, and I'm taking the Lions -7.5. And then to wrap up the Christmas Day triple header, we've got the 12-3 Denver Broncos at the 6-9 Kansas City Chiefs, who are also on their third-string quarterback. And that's going to be seen Thursday at 8:15 on Prime. Oh, by the way, the Lions and Vikings game will be seen locally on the CBS stations in both Detroit and Minneapolis-St. Paul. Meanwhile, the Broncos-Chiefs game will be seen locally on KMGH Channel 7, that's the ABC station in Denver, and on KSHB NBC 41 Action News in Kansas City. The announcers for this one are Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, and Kaylee Hartung. All right, the Broncos, with their loss to Jacksonville last week, dropped from the top spot down to number 2 in my Week 17 power rankings, while the Chiefs continue in free fall mode. They're number 24. Current point spread is Denver minus 13.5. Your over-under is at 36.5. I'm taking the Broncos to win a rather close game, 17-13. I have the game going under 36.5. And I'm taking the Chiefs with the 13.5 points. So that's the Christmas triple header. After that, we have the Saturday doubleheader, and it all begins with our game of the week. The 10-5 Houston Texans at the 11-4 Los Angeles Chargers. That's Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on NFL Network. This game will be locally televised on the CBS stations in both Houston and Los Angeles. That's KHOU Channel 11 and KCBS Channel 2, respectively. Your announcers will be Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, Jamie Erdahl, and Megan O'Leary. The Texans are up to number 5 in my Week 17 power rankings. They are currently one of the hottest teams in football. The Chargers are at number 8. Current point spread is LA minus 2, and the over-under is 39.5. I think the Texans' defense will lead the team to another victory. That said, I have Houston winning 21-17. I have the game going under 39.5, just a little bit. And I'm taking the visiting Texans at +2 with the points. And then the nightcap on Saturday has the 7-8 Baltimore Ravens on the brink of playoff elimination, facing off with the 9-5-1 Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. This is Saturday night at 8 p.m. It's streaming on Peacock, but this game will be televised on the NBC stations in Baltimore, Green Bay, and Milwaukee. That's WBAL in Baltimore, WGBA in Green Bay, and WTMJ in Milwaukee. Your announcers are Noah Ego, Todd Blackledge, and Catherine Tappan. The Ravens sit at number 14 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Packers are number 12. Current point spread is Green Bay minus 3, and the over-under is at 40.5. I have wrote down that the Ravens would win, but I'm actually taking the Packers in this one, 24-20. I have the game finishing over 40.5, and I'm taking the Packers minus 3, not Baltimore +3. All right, so after those 5 games, we finally make it to the Sunday schedule. We have 7 games early, starting off with the 3-12 Arizona Cardinals at the 5-10 Cincinnati Bengals. Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. Your announcers are Kevin Kugler, Daryl Johnston, and Allison Williams. No relation to me, of course. The Cardinals are at number 27 in my Week 17 power rankings. They have lost 7 straight games. The Bengals, meanwhile, are number 23. Current point spread is Cincinnati minus 7.5, and the over-under is 53. Personally, I think the Cardinals have given up. I mean, Jacoby Brissett can throw the ball, but they just can't close out games, or they get blown out either way. I have the Cardinals losing this one to the Bengals 31-20. The game will go under 53, but I won't be surprised if the over hits. And I'm taking Cincinnati minus 7.5. Next up, we have a big game in the AFC South as the 11-4 Jacksonville Jaguars visit the 8-7 Indianapolis Colts. Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. Your announcers are Joe Davis, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver. All right, the Jags are 10th in my Week 17 power rankings, while the Colts sit at number 17, and they are fighting for their postseason lives. And Jacksonville may lock up the AFC South Division title with a victory and some help. We shall see shortly when we look at those clinching and elimination scenarios. Anyway, the current point spread is Jacksonville minus 6.5. The over-under is 48.5. I have Jacksonville winning, going away 27-23. I have the game finishing over 48.5. But I'm taking Indy at plus 6.5. I think the Colts will keep this one relatively close. All right, we have another divisional matchup from the AFC East with the 12-3 New England Patriots visiting the 3-12 New York Jets. Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. Your announcers are Adam Amin, Drew Brees, and Christina Pink. The Patriots, by virtue of their victory Sunday night in Baltimore and Denver's loss to the Jaguars, regained the number 1 spot in my Week 17 power rankings, while the Jets sit number 30. Current point spread is New England minus 13.5, and the over-under is 43. I have the Patriots winning this rather easily, 35-13. I have the game going over 43. And I'm taking New England at minus 13.5 as my lock of the week. Moving on, you have the 5-10 New Orleans Saints, winners of 3 straight, as they venture to Nissan Stadium in Nashville to face the 3-12 Tennessee Titans. Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS. Your announcers are Andrew Catalan, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, and AJ Ross. All right, the Saints moved up to number 25 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Titans are at number 28. Current point spread is New Orleans minus 2.5, and the over-under is 40. I think the win streak ends here on Sunday. I have the Titans winning 21-16. I have the game going under 40, and I'm taking Tennessee with the 2.5 points. Next up, fierce AFC North rivals take to the field as the 9-6 Pittsburgh Steelers battle the 3-12 Cleveland Browns. Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS. Your announcers are Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson. The Steelers, leaders of the AFC North entering Week 17, come in at number 13 in my power rankings. And the Browns are eastbound and down at number 29. Current point spread is Pittsburgh minus 3. The over-under is 34. I have the Steelers winning a rather low-scoring game, 23-16. I have the game finishing over 34. And I'm taking the Steelers minus 3. Next up, another big game, this time in the NFC playoff race. The 12-3 Seattle Seahawks, fresh off of last Thursday's thrilling overtime victory over the Rams, are in Charlotte this week to face the 8-7 Carolina Panthers, currently leading the NFC South. Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS, your announcers are Ian Ego, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn. All right, the Seahawks are number 4 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Panthers are sitting number 20. They could move up if they upset the Seahawks. Current point spread is Seattle minus 7, and the over-under is 42. I am taking Seattle to win 28-23. I have the game finishing well over 42. But I am taking the Carolina Panthers at plus 7. Then we have a battle for the Sunshine State as we wrap up the early portion of the schedule on Sunday, as the 7-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whose only hope of making the playoffs is winning the NFC South. First, they have to win this game against the 6-9 Miami Dolphins. Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. Your announcers are Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Jennifer Hale. All right, the Buccaneers dropped to number 15 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Dolphins are at number 18. Current point spread is Tampa Bay -6. The over-under is 45.5. Just like the Panthers will keep it close with the Seahawks, I see the same thing happening for the Dolphins. I do have Tampa Bay winning 27-24. I have the game going over 45.5, but I am taking Miami plus the 6 points. All right, only 2 late games on the schedule for Sunday. The first is the 2-13 New York Giants at the 2-13 Las Vegas Raiders. Loser of this game will pretty much have the inside track on the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. That game is Sunday at 4:05 Eastern on CBS. Your announcers are Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. All right, and these are my bottom 2 teams in my Week 17 power rankings. The Giants number 31, the Raiders number 32. Current point spread is New York -1. The over-under is 41.5. I have the Raiders winning a tight 120-17. I have the game going under 41.5, so don't expect a lot of points. And I'm taking Vegas +1. And then the last of the Sunday afternoon games is a rather big one. It's the 10-5 Philadelphia Eagles visiting the 11-4 Buffalo Bills. And that's Sunday at 4:25 Eastern, being televised nationally on Fox. Your announcers are Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. All right, the Eagles sit number 11 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Bills are number 3. Current spread is a pick'em, but in many places, Buffalo is a slight favorite. The over-under is 44. I'm going to take the Bills here. So I think our offense is a little bit inconsistent, or a bit inconsistent. So the final is Bills 31, Eagles 24. I have the game going over 44, and I'm taking Buffalo as a pick'em. But again, they are favored in other sports books. Then we have another massive game in the NFC playoff picture on Sunday Night Football, as the 11-4 Chicago Bears look to wrap up the NFC North title as they visit the 11-4 San Francisco 49ers, who have aspirations of not only winning the NFC West, but also getting the top seed in the NFC. Sunday night at 8:20 on NBC. Your announcers are Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark. Both teams sit in the top 10 in my Week 17 power rankings. The Bears are number 9. The 49ers are number 7. Current point spread is San Francisco -3. Over-under is 52.5. I gotta ride with the Bang Bang Niner gang. San Francisco wins 27-20. I have the game going under 52.5. But I won't be surprised if it goes over. And I'm taking the Niners at -3. And Week 17 wraps up with the final Monday night game of the season. It's the 11-4 Los Angeles Rams at the 6-9 Atlanta Falcons. Monday night at 8:15 on ESPN. This game will be locally broadcast on KABC Channel 7 in Los Angeles and new CBS affiliate WUPA Channel 69 in Atlanta. Your announcers are Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, and Laura Rutledge. All right, the Rams, after that heartbreaking loss to the Seahawks last Thursday night, fell to number 6 in my Week 17 power rankings, while the Atlanta Falcons are at number 19. Current point spread is Los Angeles -9. Over under is 50. I have very little confidence in this, but I am picking the Rams to win 31-20. Now, I am very confident the Rams will win, but I think the Falcons can keep it close. However, I got this game going over 50, and I'm taking LA -9. That's why I'm not so confident, because I think the Falcons, with that powerful ground attack, can keep the game close. Okay, so those are my picks. Now let's get into the Christmas Day injury reports. And we'll begin with the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Commanders. Starting off with Dallas. Cornerback Josh Butler is out with a knee. Offensive tackle Tyler Guyton is out with an ankle. Running back Phil Maffa with a shoulder. Linebacker DeMarvion Overshown with a concussion. And defensive end Peyton Turner with ribs are also out for this one. Offensive guard Tyler Booker with an ankle. Cornerback Kalen Carson with a hamstring. Wide receiver Ryan Flournoy with a knee. And defensive tackle Quinnen Williams with a neck are all questionable. Other names listed for the Cowboys include offensive guard TJ Bass, defensive tackle Kenny Clark, running back Malik Davis, cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr., offensive tackle Nathan Thomas, wide receiver Cavante Turpin, safety Donovan Wilson, and running back Javonte Williams, all full participants in practice. On the Commanders side of things, linebacker Nick Ballore is out with a concussion. Quarterback Jaden Daniels, of course, he is shut down for the rest of the season with that elbow injury. Backup quarterback Marcus Mariota is out with a hand and a quadricep. So again, they'll be on their third string quarterback this week. Defensive tackle Daron Payne is out with a back. And offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil is out with an oblique. Other names listed include offensive guard Brandon Coleman, offensive tackle George Fant, defensive tackles Eddie Goldman and Javon Kinlaw, wide receiver Jalen Lane, linebacker Bobby Wagner, and tight end Colson Yankoff. All were full participants in practice with the exception of Eddie Goldman, Javon Kinlaw, and Jalen Lane. On to game 2 of the Christmas triple-header. We have the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. Here's the injury report for the Lions. Cornerback Avonte Maddox is out with a back and an illness. And offensive tackle Giovanni Manu is out with a knee. Offensive guard Tristan Colon. Defensive end Marcus Davenport with a shoulder. Let's see. Tristan Colon, the offensive guard, has a wrist. Defensive end Marcus Davenport has a shoulder. Offensive tackle Taylor Decker has a shoulder, but he is getting rest. Cornerback Khalil Dorsey with an illness. Wide receiver Tom Kennedy with an abdomen. Offensive guard Christian Mahogany with a fibula. Defensive tackle Alim McNeil with an abdomen. Running back David Montgomery with an illness. Defensive end Al Quadin Muhammad with a knee. Cornerback Amik Robertson with a hand. And wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown with a knee are all questionable. One other name is listed on Detroit's injury report, and that is center Graham Glasgow. And for the Minnesota Vikings, tight end Gavin Bartholomew is out with a back. Tight end TJ Hawkinson is out with a shoulder. So they're going to be thin at tight end. Center Ryan Kelly is out with a concussion. Running back Jordan Mason is out with an ankle. And quarterback J.J. McCarthy, we talked about his hand injury. He is out for this one as well. Meanwhile, offensive tackle Brian O'Neill is questionable with a heel. Other players listed for the Vikings include running back Ty Chandler, full participant in practice. Defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, limited participation. Running back Aaron Jones, limited participation. Linebacker Austin Keys, full participant. And linebacker Eric Wilson, full participant. All right, moving on to the Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll start off with the Broncos. 5 players have been ruled out of this game for Denver, including tight end Nate Atkins with a knee, wide receiver Pat Bryant with a concussion, linebacker Dre Greenlaw with a hamstring, linebacker Kareem Reed also with a hamstring, and center Luke Wattenberg, easy for me to say, he's out with a shoulder. Other names on the Broncos injury report include cornerback Riley Moss and guard Ben Powers, both full participants in practice. Linebacker Justin Sternad, also a full participant in practice. And tight end Adam Troutman, who did not practice. I'm not expecting him to play at all on tomorrow night. And then for the Chiefs, you have tight end Jake Beringstool out with a hamstring. Questionable to play include linebacker Nick Bolton with an illness, defensive end George Karlaftis with an illness, offensive tackle Jalen Moore with a knee, defensive tackle Derek Nandi with an illness, and wide receiver and return specialist Nico Remigio with a knee. All listed as questionable. Other names for the Broncos include safety Mike Edwards, cornerback Christian Fulton, tight end Noah Gray, cornerback Nazeez Johnson, all full participants. Then you have cornerback Trent McDuffie, who did not play or did not practice, so I'm not expecting him to go. Offensive tackle Essa Paul, full participant. Wide receivers Rashee Rice and Tyquan Thornton, both did not practice. Offensive guard Trey Smith, full participant. And cornerback Jalen Watson, who did not practice. So that's the injury report for the Christmas Day triple header. Now we're going to close things out with the clinching and elimination scenarios for week 17. First out, let's take a look at the current playoff race in both conferences, starting in the NFC. The Seahawks sit at 12-3. They're in the playoffs. The Chicago Bears are the 2 seed at 11-4. They're also in the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles, who already wrapped up the NFC East, they're at 10-5 and sitting third. The Carolina Panthers at 8-7, who has not clinched yet. Those are your division leaders. Your wildcard teams are the San Francisco 49ers at 11-4, sitting in the number 5 spot. The Los Angeles Rams at 11-4, sitting in the number 6 spot. As of right now, the tiebreaker in terms of division record goes to the 49ers. And the Green Bay Packers at 9-5-1, sitting at 7th and final spot. Number 8 is the Lions at 8-7. As of right now, they can no longer win the NFC North. Minnesota is number 9 with a record of 7-8. They are eliminated from the playoffs. However, Tampa Bay at number 10 is still alive, at least for the NFC South. They're also 7-8. Minnesota has the tiebreaker over Tampa based on conference record. 5-5 record for the Vikings in the conference versus 5-6 for the Bucs. That's why Minnesota is ahead of Tampa Bay. The other 6 teams are eliminated. Dallas 6-8-1 at number 11. Atlanta 6-9 at number 12. New Orleans at 5-10, number 13. Washington 4-11 and number 14. Arizona 3-12 and number 15. And the New York Giants at 2-13 and number 16. On the AFC side, your division leaders are the Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, and Steelers. Denver and New England are both 12-3. Right now, Denver has the tiebreaker over New England based on common games. The Broncos are 6-0. The Patriots are 4-1. So that gives Denver the number 1 seed. New England is 2. Jacksonville is in the 3 spot at 11-4. All 3 teams have made the playoffs. Number 4 is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-6. They have not clinched yet. Your 3 wildcard teams are the Chargers, Bills, and Texans. LA is 11-4, presently sitting 5th. The Bills are 11-4 and sitting 6th. The Texans are 10-5 and sitting 7th. Los Angeles has the tiebreaker on Buffalo based on conference record, 8-2 for the Chargers versus 8-3 for the Bills. Still mathematically alive, you have the Indianapolis Colts at 8-7, currently sitting 8th, and the Baltimore Ravens at number 9 with a record of 7-8. Eliminated from the playoffs, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-9, presently 10th in the AFC. The Miami Dolphins at number 11 with a record of 6-9. The Chiefs have the tiebreaker over the Dolphins based on conference record. 3-7 for Kansas City, 3-8 for Miami. Cincinnati is number 12. The Bengals are 5-10. They got the Jets, Titans, and Browns all at 3-12. Cleveland has dropped out of the tiebreaker with the Jets and Titans on a head-to-head sweep. New York has the tiebreaker over Tennessee based on conference record. That's 2-8 for the Jets and 2-9 for the Titans. So with all that, New York is number 13, Tennessee is number 14, and Cleveland is number 15. And at the bottom of the AFC, you have the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-13. All right, here are your clinching scenarios for Week 17. We'll start off in the NFC. All right, the Seahawks will clinch the NFC West with a win plus a loss or tie by the Rams and a loss or tie by the Niners. Or a Seahawks tie to the Panthers and outright losses by both Los Angeles and San Francisco. Meanwhile, Seattle gets home field advantage in the playoffs and a first round bye with a win plus a Rams loss or tie. Plus, the Niners and Bears must end in a tie on Sunday night. The Bears will lock up the NFC North with a win or a Bears tie plus a Packer tie or a Packer loss. The Panthers will win the NFC South if they beat Seattle and Tampa Bay loses to Miami or ties them. or a Panther tie and a Bucks loss. And Green Bay gets into the playoffs with a win or a tie, or a Lions loss or tie. In the AFC, the Denver Broncos will wrap up the AFC West with a win plus a Chargers loss or tie to the Texans, or a Broncos tie and a Chargers loss. They'll wrap up home field advantage and a first round bye with a win plus a Patriots loss plus losses or ties by the Chargers, Jaguars, and Bills. The New England Patriots will win the AFC East if they beat the Jets, and the Bills lose or tie the Philadelphia Eagles, or a Patriots tie and a Buffalo loss. The Jaguars win the AFC South with a win plus a Texans loss or tie to the Chargers, or a Jaguar tie and a Texans loss. The Pittsburgh Steelers win the AFC North with a win or tie, or a Baltimore loss or tie in Green Bay on Saturday. And the Texans clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie, or an Indianapolis loss or tie, or wins by Tampa Bay, San Francisco, the Rams, Buffalo, Baltimore, and Kansas City. Scenario 3 is for Houston clinching a tie in strength of victory with Indianapolis, while also clinching strength of schedule over Indianapolis. Now to the elimination scenarios for Week 17, starting in the NFC. The Lions will be eliminated from contention with a loss or tie, or a Packers win or tie. Of course, the Lions are playing the Vikings tomorrow. The Buccaneers are not only knocked out of contention for the NFC South, they will also be eliminated from the playoffs if they lose and Carolina wins or ties, or the Buccaneers tie and the Panthers win. The Packers will be taken out of NFC North title contention with a loss or ties by both the Packers and Bears, or a Bears win. The Rams are knocked out of the NFC West title picture and the 1 seed with a loss or a Ram tie plus a Seattle win, or ties by the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers, which is highly unlikely, or a Rams tie and a 49er win, or a Seahawks win and a 49ers win. All right. The 49ers will be bounced from NFC West title contention with a loss plus a Seattle win or tie, or a San Francisco tie with Chicago plus a Seattle win at Carolina. The Niners are also out of 1 seed contention with a loss or a Niners tie and a Seahawks victory. The Chicago Bears will be knocked out of 1 seed contention with a loss to the 49ers, or a Bears tie plus a Seahawks win or a tie. On the AFC side of things, Baltimore is eliminated from the playoffs and from the AFC North title conversation with a loss or tie to the Packers on Saturday night, or a Steelers win or tie Sunday in Cleveland. The Indianapolis Colts will be eliminated from the playoffs with a loss or a tie, or a Texans win or tie, or wins by the Buccaneers, 49ers, Rams, Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs. Scenario 3 is for Houston clinching a tie in strength of victory with Indianapolis, while also clinching strength of schedule over Indianapolis. The Bills will be knocked out of AFC East title contention with a loss and a Patriots win or tie, or a Bills tie and a Patriots win. Buffalo can also be knocked out of consideration for the top seed in the conference, and there are 20 different ways that can happen, and I'm not going to read all of them. I'll read like the first 5. A Bills loss plus a Patriots win or tie, a Bills loss plus a Broncos win or tie, a Bills loss plus a Chargers win or tie, or a Bills loss plus a Jaguars win or tie. And that's just 4 of the 20 scenarios that could knock the Buffalo Bills from contention for the top seed. As for the Texans, they'll be knocked out of the AFC South title race if they lose and Jacksonville wins or ties, or Houston ties and Jacksonville wins. They will be taken out of 1 seed contention with a loss or tie to the Chargers, or a Broncos win or tie against the Chiefs, or a Patriots win or tie versus the Jets. And I think both of those are highly likely. The Chargers will be knocked out of AFC West title contention with a loss plus a Broncos win or tie, or the Chargers tie the Texans and the Broncos outright beat the Chiefs. LA is knocked out of 1 seed contention with a loss plus a Denver win or tie, or a Charger loss plus a New England win or tie, plus a Charger loss as well as a Jacksonville win and a Buffalo win or tie. Or a Chargers loss plus a Jags win, plus 5 or more combined wins from the Giants, Commanders, Lions, Panthers, Buccaneers, Cardinals, 49ers, and Browns. Or a Chargers tie and a Broncos win, or a Chargers tie and a Patriots win. Scenario number 4 is for Jacksonville clinching at least a strength of victory tie over Los Angeles. The Patriots are knocked out of 1 seed contention with a loss and a Broncos win, or a New England loss plus a Denver tie and an LA Chargers win. And finally, Jacksonville is knocked out of 1 seed contention with a loss plus a Broncos win or tie, or a loss plus a Patriots win or tie, or a loss plus a Chargers win or tie, or Jacksonville ties Indianapolis and the Patriots win, or Jacksonville ties Indianapolis and Denver wins, or Jacksonville ties Indianapolis plus Denver ties Kansas City plus the Chargers beat Houston. So there it is, folks, my Week 17 NFL picks, both straight up and against the spread, plus the injury reports for all 3 Christmas Day games, and the playoff clinching and elimination scenarios entering week number 17. I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. Spend some time with your family and friends, and watch some football while you're at it too. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And we will be back next Tuesday with a recap of Week 17 on the week that was. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the pigskin, and happy holidays. Peace out.